Hey guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be covering the topic of balancing your range. If you saw GTO Wizard Trainer Part 2, you would have heard me talking about the need of balancing your range from every position on the table, and why this is important, and why it explains why certain positions will open hands that you would think in your mind that are non-profitable hands to be opening, and hands that will get you into very tough situations, and hands that you will typically snap fold to any aggression from any villains within the hand. Now, so we're on the under the guns range here, and a common question that you might have is asking, why would we be opening up your ace 4 suited, ace 5 suited, pretty much all of these ace suited hands, and even at a very small frequency, about 10 odd percent, you'll be doing some of these suited connectors, your 7-6 suited, 6-5 suited, 5-4 suited, 8-7 suited, even a 9-8 suited and 10-9 suited, and then some jack 10 in there as well. And then even up here as well, we've got your king 9, king 9 suited all the way to king 5 suited at some frequencies also be opening from this very traditionally very, very strong under the gun range. And you'd be probably asking yourself, hey, why would we be opening these hands when we're typically told that you shouldn't be opening these hands, that we're very middling kickers, marginal kickers that will just get you into a lot of dominated situations where you might hit a top pair but be out-kicked in a lot of situations and end up losing a big pot or a decent-sized pot just because you've got a top pair, but your kicker gets out-kicked on a very, very high frequency. And then, why do we be doing this from under the gun, which is a very traditionally strong range? And the answer to this question is to balance your range and to make sure that when you do open from under the gun, your opponents aren't able to put you down to a very tight, very strong range and snap fold to you at a very high frequency. So the concept is all about protecting your strong hands, protecting this very top left-hand corner, your aces, ace king, kings, queens, ace queen off, that these top left hands where you're going to make all of your money pretty much if you look at expected values of a lot of these hands. So yeah, if we go EV up here, so if you look at all of these hands, all of our EV, if we go to pretty much every position on the table, we're looking at all these hands, all of that EV is very, very concentrated in that top left-hand corner. You're talking like all of these hands is pretty much where all your EV is for pretty much every single position. And you'd be asking yourself, oh, okay, so I'll just play these hands. But the reality is that EV relies on the concept that your range is going to be balanced enough that your opponents won't snap fold to any aggression from you. And that's what these like ace suited hands of low kickers, king suited hands of low kickers, suited connectors, low pocket pairs, your queen 10 suiteds, hands that do have a little bit of playability, do have a little bit of equity, yes, will be outkicked on a lot of situations, but they're there purely just to protect that top left-hand corner, to make sure you do realize that expected value that you're supposed to be seeing. And then we can look at all these positions, and you can see that as obviously you get closer and closer to the button, your range widens. And then we can really see, like, cutoff, it's going to be opening pretty much all your king suited, queen 5 suited, even some ace off hands, ace 9 off, ace 8 off, ace 5 off. And then, more so your suited connectors, hands that have that playability, so they have some equity to fall back on, and that you can still potentially win some pots with, depending on how it plays out. But, if you look at the EV that we're talking about here, look at all of these hands that we're looking on the outskirts, and your highest one that you're really looking at, like we got, 0.17 for your 8s. If we look at all these suited hands, pretty much just a tenth of a big blind essentially. And if someone came up to you on the street and was like, "Hey, would you open up a hand that's got that's gonna in the long run win you a tenth of a big blind?" In contrast to your aces, that's gonna win you 9 big blinds. You're most likely gonna go, "Well, yeah, I'm probably not gonna play that 10th big blind hand majority of the time." But it's just there so that those aces can get that 10 big blinds. Correction, not 10 big blinds, but what was it? Hang on. Yeah, those 9 big blinds that we're talking about. Because imagine you're on a table and you see a player that only plays aces, ace king off, and then kings, if you have a player on the table that's just going to play those 4 hands, it doesn't matter what hand you have. You could have queens and you would probably be able to snap fold to him. And then that player's going to, with those aces, ace, and then kings, they've just lost out on a lot of their EV that they would traditionally get had they have a more balanced range that includes some of these hands that, yes, they're not going to win you many big blinds, but they're going to ensure that you win those big blinds with your stronger hands and just protect your overall range so that when, let's say, for example, this player opens under the gun, and then we look at under the gun +1 who's sitting here with, let's say, like jacks or something like that, jacks, queens, they're going, okay, well, it could still be some of these hands, it could be some of these hands, and it could be some of these hands. It doesn't have to be one of these 4 hands. So they would most likely call or 3-bet. And then when you turn up in those situations with these 4 hands, yes, you might have to snap fold a lot of these hands, and then you miss out on, 2.5 big blinds or 3 big blinds, whatever your standard open is. When, you get 3-bet with a lot of these hands, unless you want to try doing, 4-bet bluff with these hands, for example, as we know that the solver loves a good ace-5 suited 4-bet or 5-bet jam, whatever the meme is. But it just means that, you're realizing a lot of that EV, and this goes the same for your 3-bet range, your 4-bet range, your 5-bet range, your check raising, your check back range. It's pretty much making sure that you have some of those weak hands in pretty much every one of your actions, so that when you raise, they know that you could have some of these weaker hands that they might be up against. That when you check raise, you have some weaker hands, so they don't just go, "Oh, he's got a strong range here." And then also protecting your checking range. So, for example, if you only ever check when you have a bad hand, players are going to go, "Okay, fantastic. I can simply show some aggression," and they're going to fold. But if you protect your checking range, let's say you check very strong hands, you check top set, you check a straight, you check middle set, you check some strong hands in there, all of a sudden where they're looking at you and going, "Okay, I can't fold to aggression knowing that he has a strong hand, and I can't be overly aggressive and overplay my hand because he might have a strong hand in this situation." So it's all about just balancing your actions, balancing your range. I believe I went a little bit off topic, but this is more about pre-flop, or we can have a big breakdown on post-flop, but, balancing your range so that you can protect those strong hands. Like, and this goes like this, for example, we open under the gun, 3-bets, folds around to us. So yeah, everyone folds out. Gets back to under the gun. Okay, you can see that we've got, ace-5 suited, ace-4 suited, and then even some of these pocket pairs as well, king-queen, ace-queen, even ace-10 a little bit frequency, having these hands that we're going to be 4-betting with, and then protect these 4 hands that we would be also 4-betting with, that we want to be getting the value from these hands. Like, for example, if you go to EV here, look at all that EV that we're talking about with these 2 hands, okay? Yes, 0 EV with pretty much all of our other hands, okay? But we be there with those hands in order to then get value with our high EV hands, or else we're just not going to be able to realize that. So just to summarize in the end, you have to be opening with the reason why you have to open with some of these hands that aren't going to win you money is so that you can win the money with the strong hands. Now, the solver prefers your ace suiteds, your king suiteds, and your suited connectors, because those play the best against strong hands. You know, your ace suiteds can beat a pair of kings if they hit an ace. Your ace suited can hit a flush. Especially the reason why it loves your ace 5 and your ace 4s is because it can still hit a straight, for example. And that's the same reason why we're looking down at these suited connectors that actually play the best against those strong hands, because, you know, they can dominate those low boards where those top of range hands can't really hit or connect with, you know. Board comes, if a board comes 9-10 jack, you know, and they're sitting there with aces, and you're sitting there with your 8-7 suited, you're looking in pretty good shape. And they will most likely lose a lot of money to you, thinking that you can't have that hand. So even in those situations, you can get some money out of them, and create your EV from there, on the rare occasions. But they're mostly there to serve to protect that top of range hand. So that's the summary here. Need to be opening with those type of hands on a regular basis, as to protect your range and to not overly present a strong range to your opponents, who can then just fold to any aggression and miss out on a lot of that expected value from your top of range. Well, have a good one, guys. Play well. I'll see you around.